DRX, so it wasn't necessarily this story of, oh, but Nongshim can possibly restabilize. It doesn't necessarily get much better from here. But we are into the draft for game number 1. Talia already taken away. We've got a bit of a focus on the AP junglers, I guess, is the Maokai going to be removed as well. Sponge, of course, very good at the Talia in the jungle, which is why we're calling it a jungler in this particular game. And the Ashe taken off the board as well. And often a first pick, actually something that Teddy has been utilizing quite well as that first pick priority. But Jiwoo versus Teddy in this matchup is kind of interesting, right? It's like, is that Kai'Sa going to come out? I mean, I saw that Neela got slightly adjusted, you know? Like, maybe we see Jiwoo on one of his... We already saw it in Challenger, right?
Yeah, maybe. I feel like definitely these two players, I would like to see them lean more into these sort of team-fighting scaling picks. You know, things like the Zeri, things like the Kai'Sa. I think you do put trust in these players to carry through the late game team fights and kind of rely on the rest for that early pressure. We see Senecalista banned out in this situation. I don't think there's huge pressure to take a bot lane pick right now. Could just lean towards the top lane. Skarner's been left open and available.
Yeah.
Tristana is also something that's been left on the cards. We've seen the Tristana-Corki matchup quite a bit. I do feel like Tristana just ends up outscaling the matchup a bit. Corki can still have a lot of power late and does have a little lane pressure, but new Corki, I feel like, doesn't scale quite as well as current Tristana.
So, we often don't like Nidalee. But guess what Frog's best champion is?
Renekton?
Yeah! And if they don't lock it in, I'm going to be extraordinarily upset, right? Like, if this is Nidalee Corki, then it's an absolute disaster. But instead, it's going to be the Kai'Sa. Priority lock-in here.
Yeah, this is interesting to me because it means on that third pick, you're basically going to have to lock in mid if you want to have a good matchup into the Tristana. And it's really important you have good solo lane matchups with a Nidalee. You know, you need that prio to be able to establish control. Wouldn't surprise me if you saw the Corki come out on 3 for DRX. For Nongshim, they are looking towards that Sejuani on either side, which has been a pretty solid staple for basically the whole year so far.
Doesn't necessarily feel like it's going to do battle with the Nidalee, but if you can avoid it, we've seen Sejuani's just get through the matchup just fine, unless the Nidalee's Canyon. That was an Olaf for a second. I think that this Renekton pick away is exactly what you'd want to do. But instead, the tier list coming in.
They're sort of humming hard in either direction. They end up going for the Skarner, so super strong front line already for Nongshim Red Force. A lot of bulkiness. And when you look at a front to back, with a Tristana, with a Sejuani, with a Skarner, you really feel comfortable. DRX will lock in that Corki. Gonna make sure Yehu has that pressure in the early game. And now go to the next phase of bans. They have banned out the Lucian. It'll be interesting to see if they ban out the Zeri, because obviously Kai'Sa's been doing pretty well in that matchup.
Ox, what are your honest feelings about what DRX have locked in so far?
I'm not particularly sold on it so far.
I'm incredibly upset.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be honest, if you want to peek behind the curtain, I'm kind of writhing on the inside right now.
Well, at least they can pick. Oh, no, Renekton's banned.
Yeah.
A little bit unlucky.
Yeah, it's really unlucky. They had no opportunities to pick that one up.
To lock the Renekton.
Because the worst part is, right, are they going to ban Corki Hui, like both of them, if you picked Renekton on 3? No, probably not. You'd probably be able to play either of those.
I think the Corki ban may have been enough. I just like...
But you still, like, Hui is really good.
We're talking about the Corki, maybe the Kai'Sa. I think the problem was the Nidalee, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of draw back to that. And K'Sante banned as well, so we'll see what they opt to go for in the top lane. They do need some lockdown. They do need some engage. They will just take the Leona in this situation. And now Nongshim have to show what they're going to go for in the bot lane. The Zeri is on the cards. Obviously not the best matchup for the Kai'Sa we've seen, but still fine. But actually, it might be they're toying with the idea of putting the Tristana in the bot lane.
That would be very interesting.
Then again, I say that. Jiwoo is known to play mages in the bot lane, so who really knows? Yeah,
Jiwoo can sort of play kind of anything. He does really like this lady here.
Yeah.
As the Zeri is a consideration. That's going to be locked in. Nautilus is still up, so they could play Zeri. Nautilus, if they want to add even more CC and tankiness here.
If Rel's up, you know, I expect it'll be one of those two that'll come out in this situation. Kind of depends what Google wants to pick himself. He has been playing a lot of Nautilus in recent games, so maybe that.
Yep.
Don't think they'll take an Enchanter. It's a little bit risky, but, you know, could do. Depends how they feel about the matchup.
Zeri Lulu is a staple here in the LCK especially.
Does mean there's a bit of a risk, right? There's a lot of gank potential set up for DRX.
Oh, set up in the top lane, kinda, almost?
Okay. I feel a lot better about Nongshim's composition than DRX is.
Yeah.
If we go late, I feel like Nongshim kind of have it in the bag. I know that Camille's obviously a major threat in the side lane, but DRX...
But what about the poke?
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not even like old poke Corki where it really was significant with the Magic Pen build.
Well, you just said Cope Corki, which is kind of...
Cope?
Yeah.
Corki? Yeah.
It sounds about right with this this composition. Where, you know, we are a bit afflicted here at the LCK. We haven't necessarily seen, you know, Nidalee's not Cold Canyon find any success at all. We've been making jokes about it. We've been making references to it, and it hasn't gone away. It's plaguing us. This is a problem. I want to know what the remedy is, because we need to deal it out to everyone here in the LCK so that they can right the wrongs.
And, you know, if DRX want to win with this Nidalee, they really need to be setting the pace of this game. They need to put the pedal to the metal and not stop at any point. They need to be dictating all the plays. And I think the thing is, Nongshim's comp scales really well, but I think it has given space for DRX to do that. And if this was, you know, one of our top-of-the-table teams, maybe I'd feel like, okay, I can see the angle. DRX has been playing well, but, you know, they need a lot of faith that they're going to make this composition work.
Yeah, or just be way better. You know, you can certainly snowball with a composition like this. It could work out, but I'm a little bit worried. Let's dive into the rift for game number 1. All right, I do have something that I want to ask you, and that is, how many people do you think really understand what pedal to the metal even means? Because how many acceleration pedals actually hit metal when you put them all the way down?
Yeah, I think people still get the saying, though, even if it doesn't physically happen.
Do you know why I think they still get it?
Why?
Because Fury Road exists.
Yeah?
And you actually see those scenes where they have the pedal lock that locks in like full down, and that scene actually exists. The Sponge is not going to be able to find a spear here, but maybe that's what's keeping it alive.
Maybe.
Because I know I've never owned a car where my acceleration pedal actually hits metal.
Maybe you just haven't owned a cool enough car yet.
Maybe that's true.
Have you tried getting one of those Fury Road?
The only car that I've ever owned was a Mazda 121.
And that didn't have
1994.
You didn't custom fit it?
No, I really wanted to. I wanted to drop a horizontal flat 4 in it like a WRX, and it would have been very funny.
Seems like a necessary thing in your daily commute, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of missed out on that one.
I did, and I daily commuted a lot in that car as well. It was not embarrassing. I loved it. I loved it a lot. It was a fantastic car. I got $50 for it when I left for Korea.
$50?
Yeah, $50.
50 Australian bucks?
Yeah.
Wow.
So not even that much. I was lucky I didn't have to pay someone to take it away, to be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could have actually got a good deal.
Yeah. Well, here on the bottom side of the map, Pleta and Teddy just trying to hold the line here. Of course, you're not going to be doing too much as the Leona at level 1.
Imagine if you had that.
Lose, they're going to be feeling pretty good.
Imagine if you had that in League of Legends where you can kind of like bargain for items in the shop, you know. Boris had a sale
like a
every
barter system?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I really don't want to build a model reminder. There's no healing. But he said it's 20% off. Ooh. So I kind of, you know, I think I got to. I think
that's pretty. And we have like little timeouts where we get to see what Boris is saying to these players and see which players fall for it and which ones don't.
In their ear.
Yeah. That'd actually be really cool. We don't have timeouts in League of Legends. I think maybe that could be something that could be done. Frog, man. All right, maybe Camille is actually just the answer to all of our prayers.
Maybe Frog is just the answer.
I think that is already established, but maybe Camille as well.
Yeah,
and
maybe
it's the combination.
Combo, yeah. Of course, Skarner will just throw boulders at you and kind of chill, so don't think he's under too much threat for dive here, although, I mean, Spongy's on the top side of the map. He is half HP. Maybe they can make something happen.
And Hookshot is set up, and that's kind of cool. We're going to see it attempted at least. There is a ward. Good position here, but Sponge gives himself up immediately. Let's see whether Frog finds it. He does not, but they don't pick up the turret aggro. So they get the flash, and Sponge is out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dundun played it well. I think avoiding the stun from the Camille, you can't really punish them for it, but only losing your flash in a situation, not dying, picking up all the farm that you can. He is down in CS, but got the XP. I think he can be pretty happy with. The problem is, though, Sponge potentially could still hover around. Looks like he's just going to reset, though. Not really a wave to play on.
Yep. Just gets that Rift Scuttler, gets a ward down. Wants to know exactly where Sylvie is going to be. We'll understand exactly when the Gromp camp is coming up as well. Should have some timings to know roughly where the Sejuani is going to be coming from. That's certainly good news. As you can see right now, going to be moving up there towards that top side. So a bit of extra information given over to DRX. You're going to have to see a little bit more if you want us to become believers in anyone other than Canyon playing this champion. As in goes Pleta. Spear going to go wide there as Jiwoo did immediately cleanse. So that's an okay miss on the Spear.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big summoner take, and it's 4-minute cooldown for cleanse since the start of the season. So
yeah.
A big reason why you've seen Leona kind of come back in the meta is obviously the cleanse cooldown nerf, but also a lot less tenacity in the game. Legend tenacity gone. Really have to build the Merc Treads. And in a game like this, when you have 3 big auto attackers on the enemy team, it's hard to justify the Merc Treads.
And we kind of do want them as well, so we'll just have to see. Currently things
one
pretty even.
Cut, you know?
Yeah, well, I wonder what Boris would have to say about it as well. He'd have pretty good arguments this time around. I reckon there'd be a few people that would fall for it. Teleport back from Dundun towards that top side of the map. And Frog just going for a reset himself. Got himself a Pahage, feeling good about that.
That's pretty big. And I think if you can keep applying the pressure on the top lane, if we can get Sponge to come up towards the top side again, I think maybe you can set up for something more. I think the problem is if you're, like, obviously Camille does scale well, but in the sort of view of the whole game, if we stayed in even game state, Nongshim are really fine. I don't think Dundun's under too much threat in the late game from a Camille in the side lane, but the front line that Nongshim will have, combined with those 2 strong carries and an Enchanter, hard to play against. Dundun has hit level 6. Frog isn't there yet, though.
Yeah, picks up a rock as Sponge comes in, lands that spear very nicely. And Dundun, with the Impale available, is not going to be trifled with, and understandably so as well, throwing these rocks around.
You know, and this honestly feels like it's a chain reaction from Dundun surviving the earlier dive, because if he dies there, he wouldn't be level 6. Maybe Frog would have some extra experience on the kill. He'd be level 6. That could have just been a dead Skarner right there.
Yeah.
So the ramifications of the earlier play. We do see bot side play coming out from Nongshim. Teddy and Pleta will respect it.
DRX actually completely reading this situation immediately as well. You saw Sponge moving already off these grubs, but Sylvie's going to flash on top of him. Permafrost comes down, explosive charges coming on through there. The Spear going to go wide. Not able to get too much, but that flash coming out in trade for Sylvie's. See whether that's going to be important as this game goes on.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the Nidalee value to come through. Still waiting to see it. Right now, hasn't really built up a significant CS lead. Only that flash win from Dundun and hasn't been capitalized on yet. And the fact that Nongshim able to get 2 plates on the bot side for this Zeri Lulu in a fantastic position.
Yeah, and we know that it is all about Jiwoo when it comes to Nongshim. So we're going to start off this Dragon. And that should just belong to Nongshim here with the Nidalee mostly towards the top side of the map. It's just 1 grub remaining. Dundun making his way back to lane.
This is so big, though, for Nongshim. You know, anytime you have a composition where you're wanting to go later in the game, if you're able to secure early dragons, it's just delaying Eldritch, delaying Soul. It means even if the game goes a little bit amiss, you have time.
Yeah, and DRX kind of don't. Sylvie going to come on over, does not find the blue buff, and also that's the pounce on top of the Sejuani, and that could just be first blood going over to Yahoo. It is! Can they get another one? Is what the heck was Fisher doing? Oh dear, 2-0 here for DRX. The Nidalee, absolutely fantastic pick, taking full control of the early game. Extraordinary play.
Yo, we just forgot about Nidalee's hidden passive, mind control. It just willed Sylvie to try. He was like, you know, the game's going great.
The Boris Whispers have started, oh God.
Why don't you just try and fight Nidalee on a blue?
Yeah.
You're winning the game, why wouldn't you do this?
Well, Solar Flare gonna get a flash.
Oh, it's all going DRX. 2-0, they get the flash from Guga. All they had to do was just look appetizing.
Yeah, it absolutely worked. Not sure about that one. Certainly not great news here for Nongshim. But as you mentioned, they scale exceptionally well. I might have hammed it up just a little bit here with the amount that they managed to get done here. Is yeah, they're trying to go for the fight, and they want to see what they can do, but the rotation was just a little bit too fast.
Yeah, see, we obviously got to hear what Sponge was saying, but we didn't get to hear his internal monologue where he was thinking, what is Sejuani doing right now?
Yeah. Sponge really in control of that situation, though, making the calls for everyone to move on over. So certainly good news there is Yehu going to Valkyrie away. Fisher actually just walking down the fiery carpet.
Yeah, and I feel like we obviously had a lot of Tristana Corki back when Corki was that very much more scaling poke pick, but now, you know, Tristana jumps in on you, even with the shielding from Lulu, you just kind of put the Gatling gun in her face and you actually trade pretty well.
Yeah.
So very different matchup from what we've seen. Sponge is just going to do some clearing up of that last grub he left.
That's pretty cute here, as there's a Killer Instinct on top of Guga. Teddy gonna pop the plasma, but Guga is gonna survive. Yeah, zoning ultimate, yeah. Using his body for the zoning part of it. Not too bad.
Yeah, I think maybe thinking Guga level 5, doesn't have ult yet, doesn't have flash, but I mean with heal and just the lack of damage Teddy has, I don't think there's any way that was really going to happen anything. But, you know, only expended the ult. It's not really too much of an issue. Unless it's capitalized on. And right now, Nongshim pushing this wave in a tower. And Sylvie is there. You can see that Sponge is looking mid lane. Not sure you're going to be able to really find anything on a Tristana, though.
Yeah, this is where they have absolutely zero setup. Also, vision towards the river on the bottom side. So Fisher with full information of what's going on here. Able to grab himself the cannon. Very, very nice stuff. As Teddy's running out of plates. He's not even going to be able to have lunch soon.
Yeah, and he's got a dinner party later. The absolute disaster.
Yeah, I hope it's a dinner party for 2, because that's the amount of plates that he has. Going to have to really hold on to that for the next 3.5 minutes. Otherwise, he's eating alone. Or just without plates.
He just has to hold the food in his hands.
Yeah.
It just...
I mean, there are some cultures, like, you could probably have an authentic dinner in a different culture that way.
But I'm just imagining, like, he's made spaghetti bolognese and he's holding it. And he's like, it's going everywhere.
That's my worry as well. It really just wouldn't be the way. And often I do feel like plates are a very important part of dinner, so this is important. There is, I believe, that one left. But Jiwoo is looking to try and eradicate that as well. That's all right, Frog. Down to 50%. Dindin was just driving towards him there as the lawnmower.
And, you know, despite the little hiccup earlier on, the gold's even. You know, the plates coming through really helped to alleviate that, and the game still feels like it's not really going the pace that maybe DRX had hoped. Dragon up in a minute, and especially with it being Cloud Chemtech, pretty good chance you're going to have a solid soul.
You mean Ocean?
Well, I guess they're hoping not.
It's got to be that trifecta, you know?
Yeah, the Trinity.
Yeah.
You know, all the dragons everyone's looking for.
Uh-huh.
You know, I think DRX really need to get this dragon, though, and start stacking them. Start looking towards that as a win con later on. Especially if it's a powerful one like Hextech. That could be the difference maker when it comes to winning this game.
And they have a lot of tools when it comes to single target lockdown. If they do get vision control, they can capitalize on it very effectively. So hopefully, you know, in this early game, this is where their composition is going to shine theoretically.
And, you know, it is something to mention. As the game gets later and later, more and more emphasis is put on Fisher and Jiwoo. If DRX kills one of them, and as you said, a lot of single target lockdown to do so with the Camille and the Leona, if they kill either Fisher or Jiwoo, the composition of Nongshim may just fall apart.
Yeah.
So definitely looking to sort of pick up those carries as a priority in these fights. Right now, they're starting up the Dragon. I'm not sure Nongshim are going to be able to get close to this in time.
Going down exceptionally fast, so that is going to be the Securers. Now Sylvie looking for an opportunity here. Does find the ulti, but it's onto a Leona. That is dangerous. And it's a lot of damage being taken, but Jiwoo just trying to answer back. Fisher doing that front flip to get into the fight, and it's Pleta that tries to sacrifice himself. They lock down Teddy, though, and they'll grab Pleta as well. It's a double, and I think some certification over to Jiwoo.
Yeah, I mean, a Dragon, but 2 kills on the Zeri. I think I know which trade you want to take there. And DRX, they thought they'd just gotten away with it, thought they could sneak away. They had no response for Jiwoo coming in. The cleanse being up and available as well meant that even if Pleta locks him down, he's just going to be able to keep gliding forwards. The knock-up from Guga, massive on top of that.
Oh, God. The amount of plates
is looking great.
Yeah, Jiwoo, I think he's the one that's going to be hosting the dinner party later because he has all of the plates.
Yeah, he's just been making a little collection. You know, he has so many plates, he has enough for the dinner party, and he's got a little collection in a cabinet like your grandma has, you know?
I hope he invites Teddy because Teddy doesn't have any plates. We're going to have a look from Jiwoo's perspective. As, yeah, he's just frontlining. He is an absolute monster. Calls for the wild growth there as well.
Yeah, and using the wild growth aggressively is so much better now. They extended the knock-up to 1 second, and, you know, it doesn't seem like that much of a difference, but you can see Teddy just basically doesn't get to play the game.
Yeah.
It comes down to those duels, and obviously, once he hits the ground again, he's dealing with the Jiwoo with, you know, ult stacked up and the extra health from the wild growth. Very hard to deal with, and already this game is starting to seem rough for DRX.
Really is. We'll see whether this Rift Herald can help DRX out, as Teddy's going to rotate over and help take this one down. The rest of DRX, I mean, something that DRX have been doing well, and that is grouping up, getting ready for things, and putting pressure on, but Nongshim are the ones that are capitalizing from the amount of movement that DRX are doing around this map by taking down these plates, taking down turrets, as you can see here. Bottom side outer is going to fall. And so Rift Herald, yes, congratulations, they do manage to take that one, but Tristana with time to spare, taking down these turrets. That's real scary. Just
bolstering up that gold lead, and obviously, you know, using that Herald to maybe break mid-tier 1 is valuable, but I'm pretty sure the tower's super healthy at the moment. Not sure if you're really going to get much headway on the back of that.
I think so much comes down to Frog. That's what I'm feeling. Maybe it's time for Frog's ascension, you know? Maybe that's what this whole game is about. Yeah, the raid boss Camille.
That's why they drafted in Italy, just so Frog can have a carry game.
Yeah.
That's the strat. Yeah.
I don't think that Nidalee really played into it very much. I think that's the mind control we have seen plaguing the LCK. And, you know, we were talking about falsely learning wrong mathematics.
If only they'd listened to Chronicler. But to be fair, I don't really do that either, so I can't blame them.
Yeah, I know. But I also, you know, I think there's a few people that have had the same idea, so you don't necessarily need to exclusively listen to Chronicler, even if he is the one that is talking about it the most.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, but Nongshim, game's in a good position, and I just want to reiterate, they don't really need to do anything crazy right now. I really want to put emphasis on that, and I hope if I say it loud enough, they can hear me. You don't need to do anything crazy right now. I see them hanging around that area. Baron's not up yet, but I really hope they don't get any ideas.
Well, Fisher diving in aggressively here. As you can see, Sponge with the purple hands for a bit of an opportunity. Hasn't used that Rift Herald yet, obviously, but see where it can go. Get them some extra money. Fleta moving aggressively forward here. Solarflare going to connect onto Sylvie. Spear's going to be landing here, and he's pretty tanky, but just not tanky enough. Buster shot, though! Executes the Nidalee. I was not expecting a 1-for-1.
Man, the Nidalee just got absolutely exploded. The damage coming out from Fisher already just kind of insane. So much put down to take out Sylvie, and it just ends up being a 1-for-1. Feels a little bit rough for the side of DRX.
Yeah. Felt like a lot invested there. With the fact that Fisher sort of just turns around and says, all right, bye-bye. That's also so much money going to the right champion as well.
Yeah, it was actually Pleta, I think, who got the kill in returns.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I say it's an even trade. It isn't even an even trade.
Yeah. Even as far as the kills are concerned, I guess.
Yeah, and in terms of who got the gold and also the impact on the game, it's definitely not. I know it's a decent setup here, but Sylvie definitely clutched it by getting the ult onto Sponge. As sponged in, you could have maybe seen a scenario where he ended up hitting the Leona, but yeah, connects it really well, and the damage there just kind of absurd.
Yeah, Fisher really making sure that he gets all of the shots onto his explosive charge target as well. I mean, there were a lot of things, like if he was just attack moving back, like trying to kite or something like that, then maybe a couple of those shots don't land in the right spot, but he had the right target selection, very nicely done. And Jiwoo going to be joining Sylvie here as they look to take their Mountain Drake reward. We haven't really spoken about the Soul, but I think if Nongshim get a couple of these, that's enough.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, you know, some dragons, it definitely feels like the Soul is like, okay, this huge spike. Mountain Soul's strong, don't get me wrong, but the dragons alone, especially with a composition like Nongshim with his super beefy front line, so much value there. And in return, DRX are going to just try and cash in with a Herald, get that tier 2 top. An injection of gold they definitely need, but that Dragon Soul win con is so far away right now.
I think DRX still have an opportunity when they find some of these 2-3 item spikes, right? As Jiwoo possibly in trouble, he's just going to skate away. Never mind, it's Zeri.
Just Zeri things.
Yeah. thinking that she's in trouble. Crazy. If there is a Camille on the screen, the Zeri might be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to skate out of a Hextech ultimatum unless Frog puts it in a weird spot or something like that. Gets knocked around, but yeah. Jiwoo going to be absolutely okay when it comes to solar flares. Splitter once again walking up. I don't think he's going to be able to protect this turret though, as that is a flash away from the Glacial Prison. Nicely done from Sylvie to line that one up, as the Spirit's going to connect on to Dindin. Yeah, not a lot of wall respect here for Nongshim, especially with their big old front line in Dindin, as well as Jiwoo. Sylvie there illustrating that in fact Bristle can also do it.
Yeah, a lot of mobility across the team. And now, having taken the mid-tier 1, I think Nongshim really feeling really good about this game.
Yeah?
I mean, they already were, most likely. But it just means they can push the waves in pretty deep. It's going to be hard for DRX to contest. We have seen a bit of a farm lead be built up in the jungle, but I feel like that really doesn't mean much right now.
I think the mid lane is probably meaning a bit more.
Yeah, Fisher and Jiwoo, both quite far ahead of their opponents right now. And I feel like that's the thing, is that as the game goes on, like the gold lead at the top isn't going to tell the full story, because there's a 1k gold lead for Nongshim, but you got to factor in that like Nidalee is quite far ahead of Sylvie, but that's only mitigating Fisher and Jiwoo's lead. So in reality, the people who have the gold and Nongshim are absolutely the right people, and DRX have a slightly fed Nidalee.
Yeah, and we know that that doesn't really mean all that much unless you're really able to accelerate the game. That is what is kind of happening right now as Teddy goes and picks up his red buff, courtesy of Sponge. Got that one for the team. Yeah, who does now have at least his Infinity Edge. So there is the sort of Infinity Force combo, which is, you know, one of the oldest 2-item spikes in the book. Not the most amount of crit, but if you get lucky, it feels real good.
It's so weird seeing it back. Like, I remember the days people were just rushing into the first item, and that just hasn't been a thing for the longest time.
Oh, Caitlyn Berserker's Greaves Infinity Edge, you remember when that felt really good?
Remember when everyone used to go Bloodthirster first item and it stacked AD and lifesteal?
Yep. I remember you just... the way that you built AD champions was just to build Bloodthirsters until you couldn't build them anymore. Oh, love that.
Oh man, stacking items, truly the most based way to play League of Legends.
It's beautiful. Give me my revolver back. That's all I'm saying.
Back when Ryze, I mean, I remember there was this era where Ryze just built 6 Sweat of Ages, and he was unstoppable.
It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
My favorite Vladimir build was Hextech Revolver, Hextech Revolver, Hextech Revolver, Hextech Revolver, Will of the Ancients.
Nice. We are seeing some item spikes coming in, though, from DRX. As you said, the Triforce and the IE. We now got the Ginsus from Teddy, for the Leandries, for Sponge. I presume Frog's pretty close to having his Hydra completed. He's been sitting on that Tiamat for quite a while. We're dragging up in a minute 30. I can't emphasize enough. Baron is now up and available. This is DRX's kind of last chance, I feel, to make their way back into the game. They want to not only win the Dragon fight and secure the Dragon, but transition that into a Baron. And then the game is playable.
Yep.
But I feel like if the Dragon goes over Nongshim, it's just going to become so hard from there on out. We can see the goal difference. So like 1.4k gold lead in the jungle for DRX, great. But that doesn't really mean nearly as much as the 1.4k gold lead for Jiwoo over Teddy.
Yeah, but what about the 21 gold lead for Pleta?
That is significant.
That's pretty powerful.
You know, he's going to have his Warmog soon. Oh, I think he's calling for it.
There we go. And you know, when you've got Eclipse giving you a lot of stats, then the health is actually really important.
Sure, that'll be the difference maker in this.
Oh yeah.
Yes, no, I have enough for the Warmogs. Oh
yeah. Okay. Well,
that's sad.
We'll just cancel it all.
That's just for supports.
There are some power spikes as far as items are concerned coming in. Of course, you've got 2 items for Sponge, Yahoo, and Teddy that have just been completed. We're getting towards 3 for Fisher and Jiwoo, which is the scary part for Nongshim fans, but they're pretty important items here on the DRX side. Like, I think if you're going to fight, like, this is the time where you... Oh, that's not really what you want, but Sponge is the one that's really going to get punished because Jiwoo is here. That Captain Jack was beautiful out of the Zeri. Still does have to use it, but now Fisher is just taking a Mountain Dragon for free. Sponge is in the dirt, and DRX just really wondering why the heck they prioritize Nidalee this highly.
And not even just that, like, they were putting so much attention over towards Baron. Like, the Dragon was spawning. I'm just so confused how that happened, how that went down. But a good play from Dundun to punish Sponge, and game, I feel like it's just falling apart. The gold lead may only be 1.4k, but with that Dragon locked in for Nongshim, they are very confident, I feel, in this game going towards them.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. It's interesting that it isn't exactly the hugest of gold leads, because it feels like this game is basically over with the amount of advantages that Nongshim have picked up for themselves. Yahoo here towards the bottom side, trying to get a little bit more of that gold back, like we were talking about before. Outer turret still standing there.
Okay, well, this is the point in the game where you know things are doomed, because they're trying to make a two-man bot play. But we'll watch the replay first. Sponge jumps out of the way of the ult, but then gets flash slammed to the wall. The boulder applies slow. The cleanse is really nice from Jiwoo. The chase down is good. And you know what? I think this shows how confident Nongshim are on their scaling.
Oh. If, you know, they do something to you, then try and counteract it with the same strategy.
Hey, they did 2/3 of his health.
There you go.
Right? Well, they are going to take this tower pretty quickly with double Triforce, but...
the answer is right there, and Fisher is there sort of by himself, or at least that's what they think. There is a Lulu and a Sejuani flanking for the moment, so very safe. Take this one down. Teleport coming towards the bottom side, though, as Dundun and Jiwoo looking to do it once again. And Yahoo was just left on his lonesome, wants to be able to take down some health bar of this turret, and will at least be able to grab a couple of Triforce procs before he does eventually definitely go down. There he goes. Jiwoo going to be able to get his 4th of the game.
He's so strong right now. And I think as well, the fact that Nongshim killed DRX jungler and just don't even think about Baron, I think they kind of learned from the mistake earlier. They know this game is in the bag if they just don't make any major blunders.
Yep. And just let DRX be the ones to start stuff. As we say that, they're going to start Baron.
So unnecessary.
With Sponge right here. And not a lot of vision over this wall as they are looking for the turn. Teddy, nowhere to go, no options at all. It was a cunning ruse. We thought that maybe we'd just cast a curse, and we didn't. They knew what was going on. They were baiting DRX in. They'll pick up their 3rd of this particular play, I guess if you include the kill onto Yahoo. And they'll take themselves a Baron as well. This is, I mean, it went from DRX sort of holding on, but like I think the last pinky finger that was on the edge has slipped off.
And you know what, I don't think I've been given enough credit to Nongshim. I think the 0-3 scoreline definitely hasn't sort of put them good highly in people's estimations, but this was super clean. You know, the instant turn on the Teddy just completely deleted him. They get Platter as the bonus one. Don't allow it to be a 50-50, and confident in their strength, they make the play happen. You know, I feel like Nongshim taking control of the game, not just playing out a sort of slow, calculated bro maneuver. They've decided we're going to actually take our advantage and run away with the game, and now 145 until that soul, the mountain soul available, which, I mean, I've said already the game feels very hard from here. That would make the game basically unwinnable for DRX. But with the Baron in hand, they can just apply so much pressure here and try and take those tier 2 towers out away from DRX.
I can understand. I'm a bit bamboozled as well. It's not what I was predicting.
Maybe it's just Nidalee. You know, if Nidalee's on the enemy team, your team just becomes godlike.
I do think that DRX didn't do a lot of favors for themselves with the draft, but I also think that Nongshim have been playing expertly with what they've been given as Frog looks for that opportunity on Jiwoo, and Jiwoo will not give it to him. Never mind. He tries to dash away, but it does not work. Still, he stands his ground. Finally, he falls down, but I think the damage may have been done. That flash, pretty sexy there from Fisher as well as Fleta. He's going to get impaled and destroyed, and I think Jiwoo, I think that he may have just done it. Stayed alive through it all until the very end. And Nongshim, they're going to break open the base and maybe even just win right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right idea from DRX to try and kill Jiwoo, but you just saw how long he survived, how much damage he's able to do in that situation with the Runans, able to counteract the play. And now Nongshim just looking to end here.
Yeah.
No opposition from DRX. Teddy up in 6, DRX, Sponge up in now, but he's not going to be able to do anything.
Nope. He's going to have to watch his Nexus go down once again. Nidalee picked with limited setup, and they just fall in a hole Beautifully played, though. I don't want to take anything away from Nongshim, but so much needs to be looked at here. On the DRX side, there were many times in that draft where we were thinking, this could be picked, and they just go the complete opposite direction. This could be picked, and then they go over here. And it just isn't really what we were expecting from this team that did look like they were on the up and up.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to praise Nongshim for that, because, like I said, I think the game could have been a lot more slower, a lot more tentative. I feel like they took advantages when they could, and other than that, one blunder, a very clean game. But DRX, I think the space is going to have a field day with this one.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried. I think Huni is going to have a rough time really keeping himself together after watching what happened in that particular draft. DRX, though, opportunity to bounce back. It is, of course, a best of 3. But having a look at these damage numbers, right, like Jiwoo tripling what Teddy was able to put out after Teddy having absolutely heroic performances on the Kai'Sa so far this season. I mean, you pick things in the wrong spots, and even though you are very good at these champions, it doesn't matter, right? You need to have the tools to allow them to succeed. But we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, the space, going to break that one down, and we will see you for game number 2.
미드에서 썸낼 수도?
바텀라인
여기 좀 시원하게 못 들어?
여기를 꽉 잡고 있어야 돼 우리 얘들아. 게임이 카밀 이플
뭐야 봐도 돼
봐줄게.
기다리 잡았어 제리 봐줘 우리 제리 봐줘 좋아 카밀
빨려.
야내 끝나 이거 끝 따봐줘 미드 가면 끝나 어디로 갈래
미드로 잡고 갈게. 이거 빨리 잡아줘. 아니면 1대1 잡어 그냥. 잡아라. 다.
Tristana if it's left open. We'll see what else happens in the draft. First and foremost, though, they are denying the Sejuani from Sylvie. I really hope that isn't the takeaway. They're like, oh, guys, Nidalee lost because of Sejuani. Ban Sejuani, pick Nidalee. And you know what? I don't think Nongshim are going to do them any favors. I don't think they're going to ban Nidalee themselves. I don't think they...
Unless they ban everything that isn't Nidalee to try and convince Nongshim to pick Nidalee.
That would be genius.
That would be genius. I don't know whether that's exactly where it is going to be going. As the Ashe going to be taken away as well as the Taliyah, very similar to last time around. Maokai Rumble, they were both bans on the red side for DRX. The only flex ban that they've really had is the Sejuani, like we were talking about. The Kalista was taken away otherwise. One final ban here for Nongshim Red Force, and a lot of things still left up and available. The Senna was the one that was taken away last time, as well as Kalista, and it will be Kalista that's prioritized in the ban list here.
Gotta be Triss first pick. I've got to feel...
Oh, no.
That's not Tristana first pick.
That really isn't.
The thing is, like, the theory here is you pick the Nort so they can't go Senna Nort, but they could just go Senna Tom and the Nort's instantly devalued massively.
Yeah.
But they could just pick the Tristana here, and I feel like that's such a free giveaway. I feel like Fisher's best performances have been on Tristana.
Most mid laners that we have here in the LCK's best performances have been on Tristana, to be perfectly honest. She is extremely strong. And that is going to be locked in. You can just lock in Tristana Senna if you'd like to, and then kind of watch DRX flail about a bit. Instead, going to be considering a Kai'Sa for Jiwoo. That would be very interesting. Yeah,
maybe concerned about the Kai'Sa Nort, so want to deny that immediately. And now, I mean, I imagine DRX are probably just going to take Corki into the Tristana. That's just kind of been the handshake matchup. No longer Azir Corki, it's now Tristana Corki.
I wouldn't mind Yehu to go back to something else, like the Hui option that he has employed in the past.
This would be the moment where they show growth by not picking Nidalee, and by picking the Azir kind of has cemented they aren't going to go the Nidalee. We'll see what they opt to round out the competition. They're looking at junglers, looking at
a lot of different options.
But yeah, the Azir haven't really seen that much this season so far. They will take the Skarner that Dundun had last game, so try to bolster up their own front line here. Not really too sold so far for DRX.
No, neither am I.
But it's better than last game. They didn't pick Nidalee.
That's true. There is no Nidalee. A possibility that the Nidalee will also be banned away, which is going to feel absolutely fantastic. Nongshim could also be mind-controlled into picking the Nidalee themselves, as they were hovering the Pantheon for a really long time until Cassante is going to reign true. Of course, one of the better matchups into the Skarner. We've seen this handshake many, many times, and I do hope that Jonas Strong does not bring us up there.
It's also very funny just seeing them both do completely broken things with regards to killing people. You know, yeah, Cassante will just drag them through like 3 walls, and Skarner just pincers them and just drags them back.
The best part is, like, Cassante can drag Skarner through a wall, and then Skarner can just walk back through the wall away from him. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Senna going to be taken away here finally.
Yeah, interesting we didn't see Prio on the Senna note. I do feel like it's definitely fallen off a bit since spring, but something still we could have seen DRX take. But I'm not sure it really suits Teddy, you know, because it definitely feels like a more supportive pick when you take the Senna. You take a long time to become a carry in your own right.
I think they also rely on Teddy to get more work done in the early stages of the game.
Yeah.
And he needs to be online fast enough to make that actually happen. We've seen Sennas that are employed early, just don't necessarily get that done. As Leona going to be taken away from Guga. See what the final ban is going to be up against him, of course. Quite a few things do work alongside the Kai'Sa.
You could just ban the Zeri, you know, maybe you're not too concerned about it because the Kai'Sa's been doing good into it. Instead, go for the Xin Zhao, which Sponge has played a decent amount last split.
Yep.
I think maybe the Alistar ban makes sense for DRX here. They banned the Nidalee.
And Nongshim fans all breathe a sigh of relief.
Man, it's like, you know when you see, like when a NASA spaceship takes off and you see the control room, and they're all cheering like crazy. Like right now, they are losing it. And Zyra would actually be so... Nautilus would have such a bad time into that.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good time. This sounds fine, as the Viego going to be taken away. Teddy cycling through a few of the options that he does have. I think Zeri Nautilus could certainly be an option here, and he is going to lock that one away, just playing the other side of the matchup. And that is Jax, going to be locked in here for Frog, as it confirms that we have either Jax jungle or Skarner jungle. Skarner jungle, I think, is a little bit more likely, as, oh, the set Kai'Sa, a bit of the aiming life special from back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I feel like I probably would just go Alistar here, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like they're going to do that.
Yeah, they're going to do that.
They're going to do that.
It makes me a little bit...
yeah, I'm kind of thinking it'd be the Jax jungle, you know, specifically in the Viego is obviously very auto-based. And then just stick to...
Automatically based?
He is automatically based.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
I will say, like, DRX's comp is definitely better than last game because they don't have the Nidalee. But I still feel like Nongshim, you know, getting the Tristana Kai'Sa good matchup into the Zeri, and Tristana just so strong right now. Kind of feeling pretty confident. I will say, though, the Jax actually has a lot of value because it's a full AD composition from the side of Nongshim, and everyone's auto-attacking. You do have the Kai'Sa who has that hybrid damage, but she's still auto-reliant. So the Jax counter-strike has tremendous value. So a decent pickup there. And again, it's not Nidalee.
Yeah. Now, this is the thing. Like, that's all they really needed to do in my book. And that was not play the Nidalee. One of the other things that I would have seen as very, very good as well was the Tristana priority, not necessarily being there on the DRX side. The first pick, Nautilus, is a bit confusing, but we do know DRX relies on Pleta a lot. Nautilus can get so much done in these team fights if the depth charge goes out correctly, if you find the right hooks to start things off. And they do have so much CC in this composition. It is insane. The thing that I'm worried about is the mid lane. I don't know whether Azir is the same champion that he used to be and up against one of the most broken mid laners in the meta right now in the Fisher. Tristana, that is going to be a bit of a worrisome sign. Let's jump onto the Rift here for game number 2. Oh man, the Hockey Jack skin. It's been a while since we've seen that one. Good times. I was very sad that I missed out on that skin.
Oh, because it was the...
That was the Winter Olympics of like 2012 or something.
Yeah, it's
like
so
that.
it's so interesting when you think back to like the...
No, 2010. Was it?
It was
that early?
A long time ago.
Because that was like when Toboggan Corky came out as well.
Dude, the skin for Toboggan Corky.
I loved it. That was my favorite Corky skin.
Oh, and
it was so long.
What was it? The Union Jack Fiddlestick.
Yeah, and the weird lopsided Anivia.
Oh man,
it was very odd.
Dude, I love just those janky skins we used to have.
Oh, so good.
Like Lollipoppy and so.
As Pletter is going to face check and then immediately regret his decision and walk away. Does manage to find the wall, but he's not out of the woods just yet. Sand Soldier spotting what's going on here, as Pletter still hasn't flashed and won't have to, but will miss out on a bit here.
So the bad news is that he's obviously going to be late to lane. The other bad news is he actually burned both health potions there.
Got it. What about the good news?
If you're an Nongshim fan, this is a fantastic start.
Ah, you're not allowed to do that. You were talking about it from his perspective.
Yeah, I kind of didn't have an answer on that one.
Ah,
and
he's not dead.
Rather than openly say I don't have an answer,
he didn't flash.
Circumvent. Well, yeah, that's true.
They get the information as to where the jungler and the bottom lanes are.
They don't have a Nidalee on their team. That's.
He's not Nidalee. There's a few things here. As Fisher is going to jump on top of Yehu. And trading a few autos here.
Fisher's just playing Mario.
He is.
Just jumping on top of Yehu, that is the strategy. And Sylvie going to steal away the red buff here, so pretty positive start for him. And it seems Sponge has not noticed.
Wasn't spotted on the minion wave, actually waits. Oh.
Oh, no, that...
Did they? Yes.
They should definitely...
Did they see?
Actually, it's kind of hard.
No, that's the thing, it's hard, because you don't see it on the minimap.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether they have the information as to what's going on there. As Sponge is going to be seen on a ward, and Sylvie, after clearing out the entirety of the bottom side of the bottom jungle, he's going to be able to slink his way out once again. So Sponge going to be able to at least get some of these raptors, and then we'll get the bad news as ships in the night. Sylvie going to path back towards his side, and will be.
Well, I think he knows
his red.
He knows where Sylvie is now, roughly.
Yeah. Yeah, Sponge gets the information, so at least doesn't go over to his Krugs to get sad. That's good news.
And now it kind of comes down to, are you confident you can take a 2v2? Because it looks like he's going to try and do something mid, but he's kind of just...
He just doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, he's kind of just chilling.
Yeah, and it's probably suboptimal. Right now, just sitting in this brush.
You know what?
I'm wanting to know what Guga's doing, I guess.
I think it is suboptimal. I don't think it's a probably.
Yeah.
He's getting a scuttle, though.
There we go. Gonna look for that one as Guga was in this brush. You can see Sylvie coming on down. Let's see whether he does manage to steal this one away, and there he is not able to.
Yep.
But he's still got his entire top side to get through. There is not a lot of places that Sponge can go right now.
I think Sponge wants to go for the top side scuttle, but I think Sylvie's probably just going to take that and then immediately head back into his jungle. So, and also the problem is, Yehu is not having a good time in this matchup. We were wondering, is this, you know, is Azir for some reason, was there a hidden buff? No.
No, there wasn't.
He's not having a good time in the Tristana. You can see the jungle pathing on the bot side. It just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah. Sponge going to look to move around. I think spotted that Fisher did put that ward down.
And now Sponge will just do the thing of going, yep, he cleared that camp. Oh, we're going to head up to the Raptors. Actually, he's skipping the Raptors. He's going to look in here.
He's just going to face check. Does manage to get right on top of Sylvie here. Finds the counter-strike as well. Level 4 for the Viego, but doesn't have very much health. Be able to get a Q off, and let's see who's going to be able to lock this one down. It's Sponge that collects the red.
Man.
So that is actually huge. He'll also be able to get up here towards the top side as Dundun going aggressive towards Frog. Has a full minion wave to deal with here. And Sponge going to have that one smote away. Should still be able to get a few of these little rocks. And regardless, this is good news for the Jacks. Kind of feeling like he's back in the game.
Completely solved it. I was so scared because I saw Fisher moving up, and I'm like, oh, do you really want to be hanging around here? But that initial trade from Sponge went so well, and I feel like this is kind of why they picked the Jacks, you know. Viego has limited options against the pick when so much of your damage is relying on auto attacks and on-hit effects.
That's all right, Void Seeker. Not going to be able to stop the back from Teddy.
It will keep seeking.
Indeed. Nothing has really been sought, though. It's not quite like an enchanted crystal arrow that does infinitely seek.
Yeah.
The Void Seeker does lose interest relatively quickly. Still want to get the count of, like, I want Riot to have the number of missed Ash arrows that are now, like, polluting the air of Runeterra. Because maybe that's actually why they delayed the MMO, because they couldn't, like, get enough code to fit in all of the arrows that would be flying around the sky.
But do you think they just eventually keep going until they hit something? And you know how the stun gets longer the longer it's traveled? Will it be like someone gets hit and this one's being...
I think they just stun each other in the sky over and over again.
You reckon? I feel like some dude's just going to be, you know, walking his dog or something. He gets hit by an arrow and he's frozen for the next 7 years or something.
No, but remember, like, League of Legends is played, like, hovering above.
Oh, yeah.
So when that gets fired out, it just goes off into the atmosphere
I feel like
and just starts orbiting.
You're getting into lore now, and it's like, what about the summoners?
That'll be retcon tomorrow, and I'll just look stupid.
What about the summoners, Atlas? What are they doing?
What about the Teemo that's observing? Oh, what happened? Although I don't think the Teemo was ever really canon. That was always just freak.
I'm not even sure what the, like, I feel like now I'm a bit unsure what the actual ironclad lore is when it's like, you know, because I feel like there was a whole
there's a buster shot to throw Yahoo back.
I feel like that, at least with the summoners, we kind of knew, okay, they're all resolving political disputes. The summoners are controlling them. Was that it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it used to be. You used to just take control of your heroes, you know?
Well, what is it now?
Well, now they're just champions. And they are themselves.
But what's the reason?
They are our avatars.
You know, why are they, but if you go on the avatar thing, that's
because they're the representatives of their region, chosen to fight, to solve regional disputes.
So is that the current thing, or is that the...
I have no idea. I made that up. Sounds like it could be right, though.
Quick, let's talk about something in games so we can move on.
Lore discussions with Orcs, everyone. He knows the mechanics of every support champion in the game, has no idea where they come from.
Clueless. That's my great weakness, you know.
What about Tarek? You know where Tarek's from, right?
Oh, he's... What's it called? It's the same as Pantheon and Leona.
Yeah.
Targon.
There you go.
I watched the cinematics.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't really answer my questions, but they looked cool.
Wasn't it the people in Targon that, like, were the ones that found Aurelian Soul and in the past, like, tried to take his power and stuff like that, and now he's, like, really mad about it? I don't know, man. I'm going way too deep in things that I don't understand at all.
That sounds like...
That sounds cool, Atlas. All right. Let us know on Twitter if you have any lore tidbits that you'd like to share with us, and we'll have a chat about them in game number 3 if it exists.
Someone is listening who knows like all the lore, like
everything. I know, they're just like in permanent cringe.
Angry. There's just a vein bulging right now.
Yeah.
I say that they've muted already.
And they know that where that vein is from. You know, they know exactly where she learned how to use a crossbow and all that sort of stuff.
Yep, they know everything.
Although in my brain, she's just like Hugh Jackman from the Van Helsing movie.
Yeah.
That's Vayne, my headcanon. All right, we'll stop butchering the lore. Has anything happened in the game?
Not really. It's been a lot of farming. Well, I say a lot of farming, a standard amount of farming. The real advantage is...
Not an upgraded amount of farming in comparison to other games.
Not like a Chovy amount of farming or anything. Everyone has decent... Just in time.
Scuttle battle. Never mind. It is just a ward dead, Scuttle taken, and Sylvie will smite a Raptor.
That's the big takeaway, right? Is Sponge, you know, it started very rough, but he bounced back.
He did.
Which is exactly what DRX needed to do in this series.
That's beautiful. What's the lore behind Wraiths turning into Raptors? Why did a Sentinel turn into a Brambly guy?
I don't know.
Where did the Cinderlings go?
Why do they just stand there until someone attacks them?
That's a very good question. They're hibernating. It's always one season here on Summoner's Rift. And it's hibernation season, unfortunately, for all these buffs. As red buff going to be secured here by Sponge. Nice bit of counter jungling has been done, and honestly, the bounce back does continue in a pretty epic way, as I'm just really waiting for stuff to happen so that we don't need to pretend to know things or not even really pretend to know things about the lore of this game.
Yeah, in terms of topics, we could have started to talk about...
I could actually just read out lore articles that are on the internet. I do have access to...
The internet is a thing.
To the internet.
I feel like there was a terrible idea to dive into the lore.
I know.
As a topic.
When we are completely ill-prepared.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to know things about the lore, but now it's all just irrelevant.
I feel like it's not even just like us as there is other casters on the LCK team who I feel like would have done a much better job. I'm certain Mao knows plenty about the lore.
I'm sure he does too. I imagine D-Gun does too, because like he did the base thing, like predicted Nongshim, knew that they were going to win.
I don't know if you know this, but Mao actually studied lore at university. He has a law degree.
Oh, that's why he says he's not a lawyer, because you don't spell lawyer like that. He studied L-O-R-E.
Right, exactly.
Oh, he'd be a lawyer.
And that's why he talks about video games instead of being like the guys from Suits, you know?
It makes sense. Oh. Man, that's actually kind of ruined things for me, though. Oh, we might have a bit of a fight here. That's an immediate flash out from Yahoo. They do manage to secure the dragon. As out goes Sponge with the assistance of a buster shot. Max range shot, though. He's going to connect onto Guga, and he knows that he is dead. That is going to be first blood very, very late here at 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Going to Teddy.
Yeah, and Nongshim get the dragon, get out. 2 in the bag already, sets him up pretty well, but the kill going over to Teddy. Definitely a good consolation prize for DRX there. And you know, they put value on this Nautilus with that first pick. Does have that lockdown potential. Obviously, Pledder has been such a strong player for this lineup. But still, not a crazy amount of action and not a crazy advantage for either side on the back of this.
And speaking of Nautilus, we do have access to Nautilus's entire biography.
Oh.
Courtesy of the League of Legends website. To understand the legend of Nautilus, one must first know the man. For even the tallest of tavern tales agree, he was indeed a man.
He was a man.
He was. Though the waves have washed away the name he was born with, most remember Nautilus as no mere sailor, but as a savage diver. Just beyond the... Isn't that just a bad sailor?
Yeah, how could you be a savage diver?
Yeah, it's just a bad sailor. You just fell out of the boat.
But he's diving underwater and he's like... What made him a savage diver, you know?
Well, sometimes you just want to add those words before the word diver.
Is it like he's angry and a bunch of air bubbles come out, you know, when he's like underwater? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but it's already a very large section of text that we're going to have to get through here. So you'll have to let me know if any action does happen. We do have some farming in the mid lane. Sponge is taking his Gromp. We'll find this control ward, and they have a lot of vision towards that top side. So back to where we were.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot from this lore.
Yeah. Just beyond the southernmost reach of the Blue Flame Isles lies a graveyard of ships, rumored lost while searching for a blessed land. There's trading happening, as there's an Emperor's Divide also. Fisher is going to take a few Sand Soldier autos. Guga just dealing with that control ward in the meantime.
Okay, I'm not really following the lore now, because...
Yeah, sorry.
It started to talk about Sand Soldiers. Are we in Shurima now?
Yeah, no, we're not. We're still looking for a blessed land, looking to trade with wealth for immortality.
Well, like the plates in the top lane.
Exactly, and the plates may have some of the, the Fountain of Youth there, which I believe is the storyline that we're alluding to here, as he does manage to take that plate. On a fair day, their glittering holds beckon from beneath the surface. Many crews sought divers to collect the lost fortune, and none could match the skill of the quick-sinking hulk of solid muscle that was Nautilus.
Wow.
Sounds pretty epic, because I really thought that he was just from Rapture.
Yeah.
But apparently that's not the case. Not canon.
Yeah, I thought that was the crossover.
Was that retcon?
Maybe that was back in the day. You know, back when we had like King Rammus and Chosen Master Yi?
Yeah.
Back in the day where they were like, you know, we can do a little crossover.
It wasn't really, though, was it? All right, Fisher is going to get the bad news. Yahoo immediately jumps on him.
Oh, there's Pledder.
There's the depth charge. You can't dodge that one, as he's now waiting for the rocket jump. Beautifully done there. Gets the flash out. And Nongshim will not lose their mid laner, but they will lose their top outer turret. That is first brick going over to DRX as well. A much better look for them. I'm sensing nerves from a certain Dagon backstage that we might be heading towards a deciding game number 3 that Nongshim will then have to win in order for his prediction to indeed reign true.
It's crazy. They have an advantage, right? And they don't even have an Italy. It's like, you know,
how do they do it? Look at Leap Strike.
Oh.
Italy would have just pounced over there though. You need to waste a ward in order to do that on the Jax. It's just one of the sacrifices you have to make for being a worst champ.
Based on the draft priorities I've seen these teams had, I assumed you could only win early game with Nidalee.
Yeah.
And I appear to have been mistaken. So
that's the only way that you can fight a Sejuani.
Is there anything in the lore that tells us why teams are picking Nidalee?
Well, let's delve into the next paragraph, shall we? With lungs that could steal the air from a galleon's sails, Nautilus preferred to freedive. Didn't need any of that extra oxygen. Always bringing up plenty of gold or jewels for the crew. The man demanded no special wages. He only asked the captain toss a coin overboard as they set out, honoring and appeasing the vast ocean. A sailor's superstition, to be sure, but many a seafaring crew made such offerings to ensure a safe return. Also pretty scared because he was a hulking man,
but it's
remember.
Just literal support, you know?
Yeah, straight up.
He's given his money to his teammates, not taking.
That's where Pike gets all that money from, I think. I imagine that's probably part of the lore. As we could have a bit of a fight here. Teleport in from Fisher. Does take a little bit of damage there, but isn't too worried about it otherwise. As Nongshim setting themselves up for this first Mountain Drake. Guga just going to try and turn this engage. They managed to pick up the Jax, and he is absolutely destroyed. Beautifully done there. Guga just making things happen, but now Pleta going to be able to take him down. The punishment is instant, and so is the sadness on Dagon's face as they take control of this one. Another hook! And that buster shot, fantastic. Into the backline goes the Azir, but there's no one that was ready for it. Sylvie is going to do his attempt, and it's going to work way better as bring the man back up on the screen yet again, because Nongshim, they'll win the fight in the end.
A little bit touch and go at times, but they managed to come through strong, and it all came from taking out Sponge before he even got a chance to press his counter-strike. I was talking about how with a lot of auto-attackers, they would struggle to deal with the Jax, but I guess it works out fine when you don't let them play the game.
I tell you what, though, pretty impressed with Guga and his immediate turnaround on that engage for the DRX. We're happy to have found it, but he is Alistair after all.
Yeah, the flash combo into the drag from the Cassante, really well executed there. Doesn't let him play the game at all. And then it gets a little bit scary here, but the big thing is the Viego. You know, the reset potential is so threatening, so even though the fight seems very back and forth here, we see, you know, Fisher gets challenged, starts to get taken low. But Yahoo goes in, goes down, and now Sylvie has a reset, and DRX know they can't follow through in this fight.
And also there was just a lot of split fighting, right? The Azir goes in, Emperor's Divide comes out, but there's Killer Instinct available from Jiwoo, so he immediately repositions. And Teddy is fighting him right now. There's the flash, the barrier comes in, the burst fires, and finally Teddy will be able to take him down. Man, that looked dicey, but he's able to get the 1v1 against his opposite number. And Teddy could be a big win condition here.
Yeah, the human Nexus fight goes to Teddy. It looked close. There was a couple of shots missing from Teddy towards the end, but Jiwoo didn't have the ultimate available, didn't have barrier as well, and as a result, wasn't able to win that 1v1, and now Teddy picks up the Immortal Shield Bow. Pretty big spike to have.
Yeah, 2-0-1 now on the Zeri. Definitely the good news story here of DRX thus far, outside of the fact that there's no Nidalee. We don't necessarily need to go into that one, as Yahoo commanding his soldiers to go aggressive, as once again, it is a big engage. A little bit of an overextension perhaps there from Sponge, but he can just leap strike his way out. They do get the Unbreakable Will out of Guga. Kind of surprised there weren't more summoner spells used on the side of DRX in that little play.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of them weren't used just because people were kind of dying before they got an opportunity. But the thing is, you know, despite the back and forth, the gold is pretty even. But Nongshim have 3 dragons. You can see here, you know, it's this Q that ends up missing. That's so close.
Yeah,
all those 2 in the end.
Let's go.
Let's go. No translation required there. I know that feeling, you know, when you're so jazzed, you're so locked in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite work out.
When you just get zeried.
Yeah, you just get zeried. Release date diff. Sometimes happens.
2 minutes until that next dragon, and I feel like Nongshim could end up going for that play we typically see where when teams have 3 dragons to 0, you kind of lean towards the Baron. And you know that DRX cannot let the dragon go, but you can kind of force them into a really uncomfortable position as a result. Because obviously if DRX give over the Baron, they're in a terrible spot. If they give over the dragon, they're in a terrible spot. Nongshim happy to take the dragon themselves or trade a dragon for a Baron, no doubt.
Yeah. You can see here that it's Sponge that's attempting to set up for something onto Fisher on the top side, but it's going to be Yehu catching that wave as it heads towards the inner turret. Teddy going to be able to grab the team a bit of a red buff, or at least collect the red buff that was on the ground. Never mind.
A lot of spikes coming through before this dragon fight. Just had the Ginsu's finish for Jiwoo.
Yeah.
A lot of 2-item points across the board. And
2 items for Yehu as well is kind of big,
yeah,
with the fact that he's completed the Leandries and the Nashers.
Yeah, and I feel like it's really going to come down to these big carries in these fights, but also the Viego, you know, such a power point for Nongshim. If they start to gain momentum between that and the Tristana, it's just reset City.
I also think that, you know, Teddy just gets his flashback now. I think Jiwoo may not have his for this dragon fight that is about to come up. So it could be important, although he does have the killer instinct for the reposition. I think there is a lot about this that has to do with the Nautilus and the Alistar. Who can get the fights off in the right way, set up for the rest of their damage dealers, and, you know, get Frog that big impale opportunity, something like that. But it could certainly make something like that happen. Speaking of Frog, he's here towards bottom side. Fisher going to turn up as Dindin going to try and catch that wave. The rest of the team going to be here, but some free time with this outer turret and a little bit late on the rotation towards mid here, and they will lose their outer turret. Does mean that they get control of the river. DRX now moving over. Another hook is going to connect. There's the knock-up, and I don't know what Dindin was doing, but it just wasn't going to work out very well. As now Frog is throwing rocks around and Nongshim just trying to get out. The flash comes in, the hook, it still lands. Unbreakable Will does come on through there. It's another great headbutt as Sylvie is looking for the resets, but he's gonna be denied. Sponge looking to jump on top of Jiwoo here. Extendo Beam just cuts him down. That is a lot of damage. Nongshim still trying to stay amongst this, still trying to get a little bit of a way in. I don't think they're going to be able to do it 4 versus 3. 10 seconds until Dundun is up with teleport available. But this dragon, not long for the world right now. Fisher laying down these autos. Frog able to soak them relatively decently as the Sand Soldiers come on in. He's just not stopping. And it is going to be that Drake lockdown, and DRX finding some reprieve.
Good start from DRX. A little bit touch and go in times, but they're able to get the dragon. They're able to secure what they wanted.
Wait, Baron.
Yeah, looks like Nongshim would just run over to Baron. DRX, you saw them go there.
Yep. I think they know exactly what is on the minds of Nongshim here. Pletter at least still at full health alongside Teddy.
This is not a good move from Nongshim. They're aware. They've got some low health bars already.
Yeah, I mean, Frog is about 50% right now. Sponge looking to take down his blue buff. Still very dangerous. This Baron does a lot of work, and they're like fish in a barrel. Sponge diving on in Emperor's Divide, and they're cutting them down. And Zeri takes the Baron, and Nongshim. It was one heck of a Hail Mary, but I don't think God was on their side this time. Fish is looking to try and grab themselves a little Krug on the other side, and Dagon, you know, he hasn't been here for that long. He doesn't really know, and got a taste of it right here as blue side's just too powerful, man.
Yeah, it's just too broken.
Yeah, it's just blue side.
But I just don't understand the reasoning behind the play for Nongshim. You know, it was obviously a situation where they'd lost the dragon, but I don't think you need to make that rush play. And here, we've seen this more and more recently, forcing on the Cassante when he doesn't expect it. He expects he's so tanky, I'm not going to be the engaged target. If he doesn't get his W up in time, he will just go down. Planet does get punished out here, knocked into Nongshim, and dies before getting his ult off, unfortunately. But it still ends up being an advantage for Nongshim. Now, Nongshim's carries are still alive, which is why it ends up feeling a little bit dangerous here when they're doing the dragon. But they do secure it. But the thing is, Nongshim still have 3 dragons. Their comp still scales pretty well. You don't have to force in this way. They get trapped in the Baron pit. They're getting chunked out by it. And it's just such a great cleanup spot. The shuffle is great. The Baron is stolen. And Teddy is just cleaning up the kills.
Yeah. Just felt like the last-ditch effort there from Nongshim wasn't able to work out, and now with the Void Mites in tow, DRX are just traipsing up this bottom lane. I think we're going to miss out on the rest of the Nautilus story, as I think this game might be on the verge of heading towards a game number 3. As Fisher, he's split pushing, just wanted to try and pad those stats a little bit before this one, but Nexus turrets are now under fire. Frog will turn up to try and answer this push. And speaking of pushes, Teddy able to get a few more autos into this turret. We'll be able to take that first one down. Jiwoo wanting to get a little bit of an angle here as in goes the Skarner. That's another knock-up as Pleta going to get thrown around. They're looking to try and take him out here. He does get the ultimate off this time, but the Impale does come on through. Dundun not going to be able to all out his way out of this one. And it's a 4 versus 4, but Fisher is still very strong. Teddy taking a few autos there as they do try and dive on top. It's a 1-for-1 in the end of that little trade as well. As the counter-strike comes in and Fisher! Oh no, he gets pushed back into the counter-strike as Teddy. He will go down in the end, but that is going to be the ace. It's a triple for the Jacks and 1 Nexus turret to be taken down. DRX will even out the series.
Looked so close to the end. Looked like Sylvie maybe was going to get the resets there, but the bounce back comes through. Sponge with a clutch play with the counter-strike, and it ends up being a win for DRX in the series.
And if there are any seafaring DRX fans out there, throw a coin into the ocean for your Nautilus. Managed to make things happen in the team fight that really did make things work for them.
Sponge looks so good when he's not on Italy. That's all it takes.
I think that's every jungler except for Canyon.
Yeah. Well, not every jungler looks real good, even off Italy. Some have some issues, but Sponge looks so much better. It felt like this team, there was definitely some things that weren't ideal, the form behind in Dragons, but the team fighting was there. And when you have a composition with that, reliable engage and not in Italy, it just works.
Yep. And I do want to say that I kind of gave Dig on an out there as well, because I said, blue side very powerful. That is what has won in both of these games thus far. Shoutouts, a lot of damage done on the Azir in the backs of these team fights. Very well done. But to go back to the Dig on point, it is now side selection for Nongshim. They can move back to the blue side, and they may be able to use that to eke themselves out a win and give him that prediction as well. Could be huge. Let's dive into a break. And then when we get back, the space is going to break it down.
공 받았다 알리.
안나 빨리만 안 좋아.
나 뛰어가.
살짝 끌어올게.
나한테 먼저. 각주야 이거.
나한테부터.
알리 노공 너플. 비에고 너플.
나 만화 없어.
세리 봐줘.
빼야 돼. 만화 없어.
아 알리스나? 별론데?
빼야 돼. 나 만화 없어.
따. 비에고 너플. 카이사 노공. 갔다.
봐봐 잘하자. 만화가 없어가지고.
플랭 해야겠다 근데 이거.
나이스. 짜증나.
아쉬운데.
나이스.
가비. 잘했다.
넥스 좀 이렇게. 넥스 역겨워. 나할거 다 했어 이거. 근데 마지막에 지렸어.
맞아.
Games for a Saturday Showdown, we couldn't have asked for anything more. And with Nongshim now taking the mantle of blue side, can they use that to leverage a victory once again? Like they did last time they were on blue side.
But like in Game 3, you can take learnings from the series. Obviously, Game 1 was a bit of a big blunder from DRX. Game 2, I feel like for Nongshim, it just felt like they rushed into it in the game. I don't think their draft really had major holes in it, even though obviously the Jax pick was super high value for DRX. So I'm hoping both teams come through with a draft that they feel comfortable they can play.
Yep.
And it comes down to the Rift. It feels like there's been a lot of picks flying around. This often happens early on the season when we've had big changes. We had quite a lot after MSI, and picks that might be doing well in scrims or in solo queue sort of gets figured out that maybe they're not as good in the LCK as teams thought. We do see bans following a pretty similar trend for Nongshim, going the Talia Ashe ban again. And they did ban Senna in Game 1. It was Kalista in Game 2. We'll see what they opt to go for there. And DRX are just copying their Game 1 bans as well.
Yeah. I think maybe if it ain't broke, don't fix it here on Nongshim's side. You could still ban the center if you'd like to, but Azir is instead going to be taken away. I really hope that this creates a Tristana pivot, because I don't even know whether you necessarily need to ban away something like a Kalista in this game. I think there are ways that you can deal with compositions that do have her, but we'll just have to see what DRX are going to go for, because the Kalista ban was what came in last time, and it might just be gone for yet again. But instead, the Tristana comes in. Beautiful adaptation
I like
here.
this. And as much as Jiwoo can play Kalista well, I feel like in this matchup, it has really come down to picks like the Zeri.
Yeah.
You know, really driving the force in the late game, being that big team fight carry. So, you know, Nongshim could just first pick Kalista here. But
I think it might be a first pick Nautilus.
I think there's a good chance they don't. Yeah, I mean, Nautilus prior has obviously been really high here. They could also...
Ooh.
Looks like they're going towards this Corki. Obviously, doesn't have the Tristana that we typically see matched into it. The question comes to, what will Yehu play into it? Is he going to prior something right now? Is he going to lean to something like the Hui, which you've seen him play before? Or does he have something up his sleeve and he's happy to leave it till later and maybe give DRX the priority on that Nautilus and maybe the Zeri as well?
I think the Nautilus has to come in, because otherwise I cannot finish the lore readout, which I think is kind of important.
Yeah, thank you to DRX for making sure that happened.
Very much appreciate it. That's why more votes were deserved by Pleta. Sponge, I mean, he could do it again, but I hope he does not. We'll see where he does decide to go. Skarner priority could be up there. An 80 carry for Teddy could also be an opportunity.
If they go Zeri, the side of Nongshim, then you can take Kai'Sa Nord, which is really strong into it. I think if you take Zeri, you open up the risk of them taking the Kalista themselves, which could be a rough lane. So I think keeping your 80 carry until 3 makes a lot of sense. Jin Zhao is one of Sponge's best picks. And now Nongshim,
I was wondering about this.
The Kai'Sa themselves.
I was thinking that maybe there could be a little bit of a Kha'Zix angle. I hope that it's not Kha'Zix and Kai'Sa picked up, because Prey-Seeker, Void-Seeker is just a bit confusing for me.
It would have... Do you get synergy for 2 Void champions, or do you need more?
Nah, you need 3.
Oh,
or at least you did when I played Void. I think that was a couple of sets ago. But yeah, I think you do need 3. Also, I mean, Kai'Sa is like a 4-star or something like that. Like, it's pretty rare.
Yeah. We do see the Skarner locked in for Dundun, so here's a difficult thing. You know, if you want to take an 80 carry, a mid laner, a top laner, all of these would be fantastic for DRX. You know, K'Sante, Hui, Zeri are all picks I could imagine them wanting to take here, but they decide to go for the Hui. So Nongshim, I could genuinely just see a Zeri K'Sante ban come in through from them, make it real easy. Whereas for the side of DRX, I think you could look towards the jungle, but even Alistar seemed to be pretty good for Guga in the last game. He was causing some issues for Pleta in the team fights, knocking him back in. They will take away that Sejuani that was so good for Sylvie in Game 1, but I honestly think an Alistar ban next would be good.
Yeah, I'd really like an Alistar ban. I think big shout-outs to Sylvie in Game 1. I think the Sejuani was piloted exceptionally well, so an understandable shout-out there. I don't think that the Viego is going to be banned or anything like that. I think Sylvie could jump back to that if he would like to, but into this Xin Zhao, maybe it is going to be the double Void angle. It could just be the Kha'Zix locked in.
I think it's tricky, you know. Obviously, the Nautilus very good against, you know, any slippery assassins like Kha'Zix. And although Kha'Zix has been proven to be really strong when used in the right hands, you know, we've seen the likes of Canyon very effectively use it. It is a pick that requires a bit more nuance.
Yep.
Vi going to be banned away.
Oh, we're angling towards Azeri, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think Nongshim just ban it. Because they didn't go for the center note before. You know, it's definitely something that doesn't have as much priority as it did in spring. So I think they probably just ban the Zeri and risk facing up into the center node. It's something that DRX haven't really leaned towards before.
I would assume so. See what Guga does have in mind, though. And Varus. Going to be the ban.
I think maybe the thought process here is that Kaiser's been showing up again, partially because she has a good matchup into Zeri. But I feel like it's one of these things where just because a champion has a good matchup into a pick doesn't mean that it's necessarily as strong. And we've obviously seen Zeri have so much power.
Frog's feeling it. I almost wrote in Frog instead of Renekton.
Wow.
That's how synonymous they are to me. Yeah. And I'm a huge Morgan fan as well. It takes a lot for me to say something like that. But he hasn't died on this champion yet, hasn't lost.
They are both amphibious.
No, they're not.
Well, roughly.
Pseudo.
Yeah.
He can be underwater for a long time. It is very, very true.
You know. Leona's going to come through. Obviously, you know, before we saw the Alistar, a lot of things were banned away, so leans towards that one. Not quite the Nautilus Kaiser pair, but pretty strong regardless. And now, just trying to sort out the jungle pick. They've been hovering these AP junglers. Oh, it can't be Nidalee. It definitely cannot be.
Oh, God, it really could. Well,
that's not Nidalee.
It could be Zyra. And I would love to see it. Sylvie, you can see it's a bit of a right grin on his face. Brand, that's going to be the lock-in instead. Sort of a pick your poison when it comes to these casters in the jungle. Oh my goodness, I am so exceptionally surprised that it is the Zeri lock-in. Understandable there. But I think with the Brand, I mean, there's a couple of schools of thought, right, when it comes to killing Zeri. And it is like, have targeted CC so you can lock her down. But what about have damage in such a wide AoE that it doesn't matter how mobile you are, you just die anyway.
Press R now and just let it bounce. And
yeah.
The job's done. I'm pretty sure when we saw Brand Jungle last split, Willa played it and it was into Xin Zhao and it just completely ran the map. Like it was so far ahead in momentum. So I'm interested to see how it comes out here. Obviously a very fast-paced jungler for Sylvie with the Faded Ashes. Definitely speedy. But I think, you know, I was kind of hoping that neither team would make a massive blunder in the draft and it would just be, oh, well, I guess it's like game one where it's over there. I kind of feel like we got that.
I think so too. I'm very interested about how this one's going to go. I think it's a much more honest matchup than the comparison of this and game number one. Last time Nongshim were on the blue side. I think DRX with an opportunity to bounce back and get the reverse sweep here in the best of three. Or a possibility that Nongshim just rights the ship and finds a victory here in the LCK. They got pretty close up against BNK FearX. And I think that if you're going to try and make a run in this first round robin, a win here would be so incredibly important for Nongshim and for Dagon.
Mostly for Dagon.
Mostly for Dagon, yeah. But you're up against an undefeated, undying crocodile. Let's get onto the rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout-outs to Sylvie. This skin is one of my all-time favorites, the Zombie Brand. It is so incredibly good.
Very good. It's great.
Absolutely huge.
They also had the Zombie, I think they had the Zombie Nunu came out at the same time. They had like Slayer Jinx and Slayer Pantheon. They were all bundled together.
Yep. Yeah, there's and I remember this was, because this was a Hallow's End skin, right? And this was like the one with all of the extra particles that were added as well. Super cool stuff.
Actually holds up really well. It's a pretty old skin and it still looks really nice.
I always think of Pirate Rise as being a zombie skin as well, because he's sort of like a zombie pirate and it did come out at a similar time, but he's a pirate, not a zombie, so it's a bit confusing.
That is confusing.
Yeah.
We need to dive into the lore on that.
We do need to dive into the lore on that.
Skins change the lore, you know?
They actually do. It does adjust. You know, I imagine like, you know, Pajama Party Urgot doesn't have the same lore as the normal Urgot, you know?
I think that's valid.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sylvie starting off on his blue buff.
This is the worst part.
Yeah. The first camp.
This is Struggle Street.
I'm kiting it though. It's fine.
It'll die eventually. Eventually.
Yep. Just wandering around. Does manage to get that smite there. We'll find an extra button, and it will get better from here.
Yeah, and I think he's staggering it so you can get the passive proc with only 2 abilities, which obviously helps a lot. Once you're level 3 though, it's clean sailing from there.
Oh yeah.
Well, not so much sailing because he's a zombie and not a pirate. Like
like Rise. It would be clean sailing though if it was Nautilus or Rise. We know that Nautilus used to be a sailor as Teddy. Already cleansing here As we can see, a lot of wins in a row here for the Zeri. She has been very, very successful. Hook going to connect here as already two are going to be lit on fire. Does barrier, but you can see down to about 200 here, and DRX winning out on this fight. But Pleta going to be forced to flash. They stood their ground, and they were rewarded on the side of Nongshim. Very nicely done.
Yeah, and I think the big takeaway here was that Teddy, understandably, went Cleanse and Leona. Jiwoo having the barrier, I think if it was a different situation where Teddy had like a more active combat summoner, maybe would have seen a heavier trade there, but obviously Cleanse doesn't really help much apart from removing the CC, and Teddy did have the burn on that initial engage. But still, heavy trading in the bot lane, and I love to see that. I love when there's action. I love when there's matchups like these. Both teams trying to just find any edge they can.
Yeah, both of these 80 carries as well were sort of the pick of the crop in the past as well. Kind of cool to see them on similar footing at this stage. As Voidseeker going to be dodged there by Teddy, and he'll be able to take a cannon as well. Feels fantastic. As DRX just going to clear up these minions, and everything should be okay. Sylvie on a ward. You can see Sponge moving down, actually, as Nongshim, they do manage to sweep this one out. They get information of the Xin Zhao's location as well, as there's the flash! Crash into the wall there as well, as Frog's going to have to flash out of the way. And Dundun, very aggressive. Trader flashes, though, in the end. So not end of the world, especially with Dundun's lack of mana.
Yeah, and we see Sponge has gone to the top side to secure that scuttle. You know, DRX's bot lane playing very cautious, just they know that the brand's there, but I think the prospect of a dive is probably pretty low right now.
Yeah, would be pretty dangerous. It's not like you're coming in as a real tanky boy. As the brand, as Teddy gets a ward down, it's going to need to be swept, as Jiwoo wasn't quite able to kill that one, of course. It's not a Leona. And so Nongshim will be able to keep up the push at least.
Yeah, and this has been a lot more action-packed than Game 2. Which is terrible for the lore fans.
I know. I haven't been able to talk about Nautilus at all, and I think we're just getting up to the juicy parts of the lore as well, you know, because he is
about his past.
He is a guy in a big old suit and stuff like that. We didn't know that he was guaranteed human. Maybe he was just a suit, but now we have information that he was actually a human in the past. We'll have to hold on to that one for the moment.
The plot did thicken.
It did. Quite a thick plot. All right.
Sylvie did get spotted there on the ward, so... I mean, the wave was in a spot where Frog was just playing it defensively. I think it was more just covering in case Sponge turned up. Yep. And in fairness to Sponge, doing pretty good keeping up in the early clear. But the thing is, Faded Ashes now for Sylvie, the momentum from here on out really starts to build up when it comes to this jungle clear. Yeah, I feel like Sponge has been sort of farming as fast as he possibly can to try and stay ahead or at least get an advantage. Yeah, exactly. He's the one like doing all this,
doing the sweaty, like clicking the buttons, and Sylvie's like, I just need to get my Faded Ashes, and then I'm just going to wipe everything off the map.
Sylvie just rolls his hand across the keyboard and goes, camp done. Next one. Camp done.
Perfect. And you can see Sponge now kiting his way towards his Grump. And pings go out. Nongshim know exactly where he is. Good heads up there. Is going to check out the time spent in the enemy jungle. It's just going to be evenly spread out between these two junglers. So good for Sponge thus far. But we, as we mentioned before, good times may be over. As Sylvie, really persistent about this bottom lane. We'll be able to get more vision down.
Especially when the bot lane is already opting into these heavy fights.
Oh.
Holding the thought.
Yeah, Sponge getting the wraparound here as Yahoo already down relatively low. Sylvie's making his way in as well. So a bit of a 2v2, but the minion wave going to get wiped out. And Sylvie just going to come on over and tax a few of those. Frog moving down. That is going to allow DRX to move over and grab themselves some of these grubs.
Yeah, and as I was saying, I think when bot lanes are going really heavily toe-to-toe, it's so good for jungle to be able to make their way down there and just easily pick up the scraps and just cash in if they're already trading heavily. But you see DRX's bot lane being a lot more cautious now. Sponge will get 2 of these grubs. I suspect he'll leave.
Yep.
After that. He's at level 6, though. You know, he still has top prior. We'll see what he opts to do.
He's actually just going to come on over here and make sure that this reset does come on through. It does. Grub goes back. And this Rift Scuttler will be taken here by Sylvie.
And, you know, DRX can be happy with this because whether you get the 3rd grub or not is kind of whatever. But by the fact that Sylvie's over on the top side, they're not cross-playing and getting the dragon instead. So DRX just get those 2 grubs essentially for free.
Yeah, Pleta going to help Yahoo push this wave out. And it could just be they get a bit of a rotation over, grab the final grub. And Dindin up towards the top side, dealing with this Lego Crocodile relatively well. Is ahead by just a little bit. As Frog tries to keep control of this lane. The Brand taking down yet another Grump as he goes for another clear. But that is going to be three grubs picked up here by DRX, and no Dragon has been looked at just yet. It is going to be Chemtech out first. That means no Chemtech souls. Nice work there, Orcs. Shout-outs to you.
Doing my best.
Sometimes it's not enough, but today it is.
Today it is. Yeah, and we'll see Nongshim move over now and pick up the Dragon. So kind of expected if you put that much priority. If Sponge had maybe left that third grub, maybe could have seen a scenario where they move towards bot. But I think the real takeaway is that DRX's bot lane, we're getting pushed in. Yehu was needing a reset, so happy just to trade those objectives across. And the next Dragon will be Hextech, so no Hextech soul in the cards.
Yep, could be a Cloud still.
Could be.
I'll hold out hope for that one. As Guga helping with the push here, as Teddy just holds the fort. Nautilus heading back home. Pleta will be back down here. And we'll see where the next point of action is going to be. Currently, it's 100 gold the difference between the two teams, so basically nothing. And if we look towards the late game, how does the Brand kind of skew what a late game looks like? Because I'm looking at this, and sort of my old brain is like, oh wow, it's Corki, it's Brand, it's Skarner, there's so much frontline and damage, like this is going to be crazy. But is it going to be a different story now that Corki has changed and all that sort of stuff as far as late game is concerned?
I feel like both teams, are, like, there's aspects of their compositions that are pretty strong in the late game. Like, Nongshim have the super tanky Skarner and the Leona, but also the Brand, like, you can just fire an ult off and it will melt DRX. I think it's going to come down to who has the gold as well. You know, obviously if we get late enough that everyone has their items, and that's a different story, but if we get like the 25-30 minutes points and the Brand is ahead, he will just dominate. Really feels, especially into things like the Brand and the Xin Zhao, where these picks aren't going to be building that much MR early on. They'll be building more health. The Brand will just murder them. So
yeah,
definitely a big factor.
Yehu does need to be pretty careful. Can stand relatively far back. We know that Yehu is pretty good at positioning on these artillery mages. So we'll see whether he can do that once again.
I think that's the main thing, is that DRX is really key because they have a lot of options in terms of targets they can get on top of.
Whoa, that's another flash. Crashes into the wall. There's the special delivery as Frog's just going to flash his way out. Gets the dice to safety as well, but that is once again flashes traded. And Teddy flying over that wall. Guga is going to be forced to flash. Does make it out. Pleta gets down here once again as well. Now we're looking for another angle. Teddy throws out the ultimate here just to make sure that they can get another dive angle off. And Sponge, will he be the one to start this one? As there's the depth charge. Shiwu just going for the reposition. As Pleta having to get out of there. Sponge has to throw down the ulti as Dindin has made his way in. No ulti, that would have been pretty good. But Sponge is, no man's land. And it will be the kill going over to Guga, which is not the best. But still, first blood going to Nongshim.
Yeah, first blood goes over. But honestly, I feel like DRX, that could have been so much worse, right? With the team coming in with the low health bars. They end up getting away, only losing one, and as you said, Leona got the kill. Frog is going to be able to get a bit of an advantage top, picks up a plate, lay out this wave. So a good response from Nongshim to that play, but I think it was an ambitious dive from DRX, and they certainly could have been punished far more than they were.
Well, if we have a look at the gold, it is about that first blood money that is separating the two teams, so not quite enough being brought back by the plate going down for Frog. He's being able to right the ship. Now goes back, grabs a Warhammer as well as his hammer. A Warhammer and a hammer. I guess that's how it kind of works. And we'll have a look at this dive one more time. Jiwoo actually playing it out very well using the Killer Instinct.
Yeah, really good use of the Killer Instinct and the ult from Guga to lock Sponge up. And it just becomes so... It was already a hard dive to pull off. I think DRX might have had to just back away without the Skarner being there. Like, they burn the cooldowns, they back off. But especially as soon as that Skarner turns up, you know you have to just dip.
Yep. Well, Nongshim going to even out the grub score here as Dundun moves down to help out. Guga already in position. Rotation up from Jiwoo, doesn't have his ultimate available just yet. got a teleport from Yehu making his way back. This could be another fight as Zenith Blade brings Guga in there, finds the Solar Flare as well. As the ultimate from the Brand doing a lot of work. They do just close in onto Sponge, but it is going to be the kill for Teddy to start it off, and the Xin just lasted for so long. Jiwoo now running the wrong direction, does manage to grab the kill onto this Nautilus for the moment, but I don't know whether he's going to be able to make it out of this one. A couple of turret shots, a barrier to help out as Teddy just skates on over. A blast cone comes in, and I think Jiwoo might be okay as Extendo Beam doesn't even need to be avoided, just continues to walk.
Ends up being an even fight, 2 for 2 as a result of that. Jiwoo manages to kite away just and survive. You think when there's a Zeri chasing you down, it's pretty much done. Manages to get out of that one, and this fight was just so clustered. The Brand got massive value here. They start off on the Xin Zhao, obviously can't follow up super well with the ult, but then things end up so clumped, and the Renekton gets a ton of AoE damage here alongside the Zeri. But you saw Sylvie just completely threw all of his cooldowns out and got a lot of damage done. But in the end, it's just even trade of kills.
And Yehu almost went for the southern route. He may have died to Fisher, perhaps. But that is what allows Jiwoo to definitely make his escape. Very well done. Blast cones. Shoutouts to Brendan Valdez. He's going to be very excited about that.
Yeah, and a big takeaway here is so many summoners burned, and now the teams are posturing for a dragon fight. Fisher has flash, and he's the only one.
There's another hook. This time landing onto Guga, who does try to use his Zenith Blade to get out. I just don't know whether it's going to be enough here. So much long-range damage. Never mind. Jiwoo makes his way in. Guga still going to be the target, but he is going to survive. And the Brand doing so much work. Teddy trying to get a kill back, and he does kill the Brand, but it's a double kill from the grave, as well as Jiwoo picking up 2-4 on the ground.
The value this Brand is giving. I just want to draw attention to the fact that people were picking Nidalee over this. All he does is he presses his button and he just wins the fight.
Even Canyon just won back-to-back games on Zyra, remember? So there's like, there's other options. You don't need to play Nidalee.
And here in particular, I feel like the problem is DRX so heavily committed on the Leona. And it's just such a hard target to take down, you know? Yeah, who's actually moving towards the Brand here. The ult from Guga, huge value there with a double stun. And then they chill on the Brand, but the ult does so much. Teddy just gets a trade kill in the end, but the damage already done. Second dragon now picked up for Nongshim. Sorry, I thought it would be, but actually they went for the reset instead. So still on the cards. Will DRX send a fight again?
Well, I actually kind of like Nongshim leaving it up because it gives them another opportunity to find another fight like that. And it looked absolutely fantastic the first time around, so they are going to coax DRX in. DRX not going to answer the call, so that will be the second dragon going over. It's an Ocean Soul, so not the Cloud like I was hoping for, but it's okay. Nongshim still very happy with the game state at this point in time. 2,000 gold. The lead spread pretty evenly across everyone, but mainly Sylvie picking up all of this value. And DRX find themselves backs to the wall once again here, much similar to game number 1.
I think the main thing is that DRX need to do a better job of getting on top of these backliners for Nongshim and just exploding them. Because realistically, if they end up blowing a lot of their damage and cooldowns onto the Leona, it's just not going to work. You need to get on top of either Jiwoo or Sylvie ideally and just delete them from the fight as fast as possible. Yep.
Well, another potential opportunity here is the Rift Herald going down pretty low. Possible engage angle onto Guga, and they decide not to do that. I'm going to take that as a positive sign, but they still just lose out on the Herald, they lose out on the Dragon. The amount of control around the map being leveraged beautifully here by Nongshim thus far. Cannon going to go wide, but at least he gets the experience. I say coping a little bit. As Frog still hasn't died on Renekton so far this season, so that is still a thing, I guess. But this is looking like the game that will really test the man and his crocodile prowess.
Yeah,
as Dindin comes up towards the top side.
If you get in the right spot with this pick, I really think the Renekton can have a big impact in these fights, but I also think it's so easy just to get melted. Yeah, and he is a bit of a meatbag as well, so Sylvie going to have a pretty good time with the amount of max health damage that he does have. His Leandri's already completed, and just feeling good as this Brand. Going to be Rylai's coming out next as well, by the looks of things. Yeah, that's when it becomes really painful. And you are just not going to get to move. Yep. Very unfun. Slowed down forever.
Leandri's doing more work, just having a great time. There's extendo beam from Teddy. Not able to really walk up to this lane though, as Jiwoo just able to clear out these minions as much as he would like. Kathy and Rain helping out. And Guga patrolling the area. And Pleta really wants to kill this ward. Might be allowed to. They do get a ward over. He flashes on in. They look for Guga, who acquiesces as he Zenith blades in. Another hook is going to come down there, but Dundun, he's going to turn up in the nick of time. They find the Impale. He is stunned, but it does not matter. And once again, DRX decide they want to engage on a Leona and get instantly punished.
Yeah, they tried for Jiwoo, but he just flashes away. They go, okay, well, I guess we'll take the Leona. No, that's not the take. That's not the play. Nongshim immediately punished with Herald in pocket. So easy to translate this into more. The only saving grace for DRX is that Baron isn't up yet.
Yep. They won't be able to lose at this instant, but it is looking a little bit worrying. There's another charge out from Shelly. Will half health the inner turret, but so much value breaking down the outer in the mid lane. Sylvie even taking some camps away here. DRX well and truly on the ropes right now as Frog, he's going to turn up. Not really going to be able to change too much here. As at least Yehu able to get a bit of a shove towards that top side, invests the teleport in order to do so, as DRX are looking to capitalize on the reset timings. And this blue buff at least is a consolation prize.
Yeah, small one, but something at least. And, you know, DRX still have hope in this game, right? The Hui and the Zeri definitely going to be strong late in the game, but once again, their approach to the team fight not working out at all. They at least get the flash from Jiwoo, so I'm looking at a Dragon time in a minute 20. You know Jiwoo is flashless. You have to capitalize on that. Like, I want to see DRX finding flank angles and immediately killing the Kai'Sa and then taking a winning fight up there. If they don't, then that whole passage of play was just completely pointless.
Yeah, not quite working out. Dindon's also getting extraordinarily tanky. First 2 items now completed. Frog not quite there just yet. Does at least have a Black Cleaver to try and help cut down some of these tanky targets. And Teddy now a little bit sad about the lack of turret. At least still farming decently well. Still has a slight lead over Jiwoo, who has way more money than him because he's on a killing spree, hasn't died. And he's just going to spam some emotes. You can see having a good time.
Penguin.
Yeah, celebrating the penguin. Woohoo! Love it. Absolutely fantastic. Jiwoo just feeling the moment. That is going to be a second item. Armor penetration coming through here as Lord Doms is done for Teddy.
Feels very early.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to keep engaging onto Guga, though, it's the best item he could have bought.
That's why it wasn't working.
Yeah. There are 2 ways to approach a problem, you know?
Nongshim starting to get control of the area and really doing a good job of sweeping out the vision. I said how a flank would be so valuable against Nongshim, and they're just really trying to make sure that doesn't happen. They've already started the Dragon up.
Yep. Banana Brush being fought for here as Guga once again going in. Yeah, Frog wants to try and find that angle. Does make it in towards this back line. And now Sponge fighting Guga. Guga might actually get stunned up here as Frog's first death. It's going to happen right here. There's the killer instinct, and Jiwoo doesn't care about his KDA. As Dundun wanting to find Teddy. There's the Impale, and he's so dead. There is another kill, and Nongshim looking to make Dagon's dreams a reality.
And once again, they go for the Leona. It keeps happening. Just, I feel like DRX really are struggling to get their target priorities right, but Nongshim, complete confidence. They swept out the vision. They didn't get swayed by the Frog in the brush, and they are now going to pick up this Baron with a Brand, with a Kai'Sa, with a Corki. You do this so fast.
Yep, it's going to be taken down. No contest. 21 minutes into the game. They've got Soul Point. They have Baron. They've broken down the mid lane outer turret as well. Nongshim have got just about everything, except for a story about Nautilus because there's been too much action. Let's check out the replay.
Sponge gets chunked and doesn't use ult, and so Frog goes, hey, we'll just kill Leona instead of trying to go for the back line, but then just gets stunned by Leona, and Leona just doesn't die.
Yeah.
Because it's a Leona.
Just walks her way out.
It's the 3rd time.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say it. Guga hasn't changed champion this game. It's not like he's playing Nico or something. It's been Leona the whole game, and they're still... Stop trying to kill Leona!
I mean, it worked 33% for 33% of their kills. All right, they have got on top of Jiwoo. There's a hook that's going to connect. They do manage to at least take down the Kai'Sa, but the first kill for Fisher in this game as well, as he picked up so many assists. And oh my gosh, that brand damage was just disgusting.
He just melted them.
Yeah.
Absolutely butchered them. You know, they killed Jiwoo, and it just felt like the worst case scenario. The triple rings of the passive. I mean, Sylvie has just had such a fantastic game.
Yeah, this brand has just looked brilliant so far. He completes that Rally's Crystal Scepter and then puts it to good work here up against DRX, who are just looking for so many of these angles. They finally get an engage onto a champion that is not named Leona, and it bites them in the bottom.
Yo, I have a feeling they're going to slow-mo when the brand passive.
Yeah, look at him wander in.
Vehicles in.
Oh, God, even Pillar of Flame hit 3 people.
Oh, there's like 3 of them. Yeah, and they all just explode. And then Sponge is like, where did my team go? And
Yeah.
Frog is like, I'm out of here, have fun.
He's like, where did my team go? And then he dies, and he's like, oh, there you are.
He fight. Yeah, that checks.
Yep.
No, I'm actually surprised Sponge did so much damage.
Yeah, me too. I guess he pressed an ulti button or something like that at some point.
Yeah. Still a lot. Oh, Teddy.
Teddy does have the skate away, but he also has this way of getting out as well. He's no longer
You know what?
there.
Like, I have no doubt it's going to be Sylvie POG. I've already filled mine out.
Oh, yeah.
In.
Oh, 100%.
But Guga has been so much better today.
Oh, absolutely.
Than every single other performance he's had so far in the LCK. I really thought he was the worst performing member of the team. He's been popping off.
And look at him go in once again. He's going to get thrown into the back line. He will get punished, will get taken down. That was finally a little bit too much, maybe with the assistance of a caster curse. But I don't know whether it really matters as Sponge is getting chased down by Fisher, finds the last rocket onto him as well. The brand is still just disgusting. I don't have enough words to say how much damage this guy is doing. 6-1 and 11. Triple kill coming on through for Fisher. 4-0-12 on his Corki. Looking brilliant there. And Teddy, yeah, he's the human Nexus standing next to the other Nexus, and both of those Nexuses are in a lot of trouble.
Oh, man. I mean, the game's not over now, but it feels so rough, the positions in. Wait, Teddy's going for the quadra kill, cleanup angle.
Yeah!
I don't think they'll give it to him.
No, I don't think it's happening. In theory, would have been very, very cool.
You know what? I feel like some of the teams are going to be watching this. They're going to see how much this brand is doing. They're going to go, whoa! AP jungles are so broken, lock me niddly.
Oh, no. I didn't... the plot twist really caught me by surprise there. I wasn't quite ready.
All AP jungles are not the same.
I know.
And yeah, this was just great from Guga. The confidence to immediately go for it. They know there's no cleanse available. Doesn't even get a chance for Teddy to play the game. This was my bad.
Yeah, he really just bounce housed his way through that one. Unfortunately, wasn't able to survive, but they were still able to break open the base. That was the main thing. As we have a look in live, Guga is trying to get on in there, misses the Solar Flare spectacularly, but you miss every Solar Flare you don't throw out.
Exactly.
Into the middle of a lane.
And you know what? Because he used that Solar Flare, the cooldown's ticking away. He'll get another one.
Absolutely. Do love to say that about flashes. All right, they managed to lock down the Ocean Soul. There is a special delivery by Dindin. As Sponge presses the ult button, but it's not really the immortality that would other happens. Oh, he's golden, my God! And in the meantime, it's just fire bouncing everywhere. Yahoo! He just wants to get out of here, wants to try and get a few extra CS. And Sylvie, look at him, hands off keyboard, pretty psyched about how this game went. Oh, man! He had the audacity to survive. He didn't even have to.
No,
and it still would have been amazing.
With 0-3 going into today, and they look revitalized. What a performance from Sylvie, bringing out the brand jungle, and that was like a Canyon-level performance. Dominated.
Yeah.
Start to finish. Such a good play. And the whole team looked like they stepped up. As I said, Guga looked so much better than we've seen him before. And it is a bit heartbreaking for DRX. They really felt like they had so much momentum. And this win isn't the end of the season by any means. It's week 2. But it definitely means they need to re-examine what went wrong.
I think most intelligent people would have predicted DRX to win this series. But sometimes the unexpected happens.
Yeah.
So Nongshim able to come out with the victory.
Here's the crazy thing is that, you know, like I predicted DRX to beat BNK FearX. But imagine the person who says, no, DRX will win that matchup, but Nongshim will win this one. The
It's
Must be
extraordinarily
it'd be
based.
such an extreme take, but
because sometimes predictions aren't about being smart.
they're about vibes.
They're about getting it right.
Yeah.
You know?
And we got it wrong, so therefore we're not good at our jobs.
And upsets happen, and you can tell because we sound upset.
We are so upset. But you know what? I can never be upset at a Nongshim win.
It's true.
I mean, this team, you know, we've seen a bit of change coming into this split. But good vibes coming through. Jiwoo once again, bit of a fan favorite. But Guga, I think, stepped up massively. Fisher proving once and again that his Trist is very solid. And Sylvie, the real hero of that game 3.
100%. I actually think that it's kind of sad that Sylvie stole the show so much on this brand because this was going to be the Guga POG angle. I think that he might get a vote or two, as Fisher very confused about what he's supposed to do in this at this point in time.
I feel like he would, if he got a vote or two, it'd be justified, but I think it's going to be 12 out of 12. I don't think anyone...
I know.
Sylvie, especially the final play when it was like, you know, some people...
And he didn't even die?
He didn't even die! Sometimes people are like, oh, well, he died at the end, so are we going to give him... No, he didn't even die. What a gamer.
And honestly, like, I kind of thought, like, maybe he was, like, already dead in that instance. But no, never mind.
I did too. I was even saying they got him.
Yep. And
I exclaimed.
This was the start of it all going horribly wrong for DRX, because this was an even trade. It was 2 for 2, but we started to see the damage being done by the brand.
And you know what? I'm pretty sure it was Brand and Zinzao was the last time we saw, when we saw Brand in spring, and it was Willa playing it. And I'm pretty sure a very similar thing happened where the Zinzao just got rolled. And yeah, here they killed Jiwoo, and then this was the triple circle. This is like, this is the fantasy of the brand. This is what all the brand mains. This is why you lock this. This is why you main this champ. Is hope for a moment like that.
And the best thing is that we've got Jonah Strong observing, and he is a brand jungle main. So he knows to look out for this. He knew exactly how this game was going to go.
Man, he must have had the time of his life.
Oh, yeah. This is why he comes to work every day.
He's going to go home tonight. He's going to queue up so many brand jungle games.
Oh, yeah. You know it. You can have a listen once again, and I'm going to watch as Sylvie just lives.
You know, it might be the Ocean Soul healing. Might give it I don't even think it's proccing right now. It's just the Zhonya's
just the right time. Also back into the brush there as well. And look at Sylvie. That is very psyched, man. And Guga, like, he aged like 7 years in this game,
and he's
as you can see
the
here.
Player on the team.
Yeah. The gap is widening as it turns out.
But I think you can see how much it means to these players to finally get the win.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, as I said before, you can always be happy with a Nongshim win. It's always good vibes. And you know what? I'm actually legitimately impressed at Fisher out-damaging Sylvie. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's completely nutty.
And also Dundun just casually doing this.
Yeah, why did
it just cheap?
We've seen Dunduns do like sorry, not Dundun. Skarners do like support level damage, but he's just kind of plowing through.
He was
having a really good time.
carry, you know?
Yeah.
We'll see. One of the medias will give Dundun the vote. That's why.
Will it be left me? It's pretty based, that vote, so I'm kind of into it. I'm actually very, very interested in what the POG votes are going to bring for us, but I'm also interested in hearing from the space. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POG interview translation, joined by Jiwoo and Guger on the side of Nongshim Red Force, who just took DRX down for their first victory. Congratulations! You guys finally got the win you were longing for. Jiwoo, how do you feel? No, we were on 3 back-to-back losses, so we came here today saying we want to win. We'll definitely win. And I'm actually really pleased that we're able to achieve that. And Guger, this is your first victory after your LCK comeback. How do you feel? Honestly, I didn't know that it was going to take this much to get our first win. I feel like it's just been so long since I got my victory at LoL Park, so it's very refreshing. Guger, during the loss streak, your head coach said this in the interview. He said, despite playing as if our lives are on the line, the performance isn't showing. So how did you guys manage to overcome the consecutive losses as a team? No, it applies to all teams, but whenever something doesn't go well, or even if you try so hard to fill in those parts that you lack in, it actually doesn't really go as well as the process during, as well as you think during the process. But I think we were just keeping our heads in the game, trying really hard to focus in what we need to do to fix and improve. So I think that's really something that paid off. So what did the coaching staff tell you today before the match? Today, they told me personally that I could play Kaisa. And they wanted us to focus on Void Grubs, trying to roam and respond really well. And I think that was pretty helpful today in the match. And Teddy, in his last interview, picked you as the heir to the human nexus. Did you see? Yeah, I did. How was that? You know, to be the heir, I had a lot of that, but to live up to the title, I want to make sure that I don't die as much from now on. And so what was the key to today's victory? So today, honestly, our team really relies on Jiwoo's carry power. And I feel like it's just everything from the laning phase to being able to carry out during the team fights, just healing for our AD carry, and it worked really well. And so we kept getting Kaisa versus Zeri matchup all match. So what are your thoughts on this matchup? I feel like over Zeri, it's really a lot better to try to playmake with Kaisa. So I think I definitely prefer and think that Kaisa is better. And so we noticed that you took Fleet Footwork. Why is that? I feel like I was just trying to go 50-50 in the laning phase, and I just told myself that I would try to win during the team fight, and I think I was just trying to go with a safer route. And Guger, you were at the CL match this week, and then back to LCK today. But we saw how amazing you played in CL, so how is playing in both leagues back-to-back? You know, going on stage and playing on the stage isn't actually that... It doesn't take too much from me, and I don't think it was something that got in the way of my schedule. But I think I was just trying to get something, just trying to take away from both of the leagues, and I think that's just something that a way that I could have grown, and I was able to apply some things. And so in your personal career, this is your first victory with Leona. How do you think Leona is right now? You know, back when I played a long time ago, I honestly can't really remember, but Leona back then wasn't very good, but now Leona is like a tier 1, very good support in the meta. It's just something that you definitely have to know how to play currently. And Jiwoo, starting this season, you were able to play with Fisher and Guger. And Guger, given that he's a veteran, he is 10 years older than you. How is it playing with him? Yeah, I saw that he is. I knew that he's 10 years older than me, which was a little awkward, but we actually don't even talk to each other informally, and we're pretty friendly towards each other. And Guger, you know, if I were to play with someone who was 10 years older than me, it would have been really awkward, but I think Jiwoo, he's so well-rounded, and he's so down-to-earth. He just laughs it off, and I feel like he's such a good little brother. So do you want to give us a little bit of how good of a player Jiwoo is? Honestly, Jiwoo is such a great player. I think just being able to support him and then seeing him grow and scale in game, it makes me feel good, and I want to keep supporting him. And you guys have such a rough schedule ahead of you in the remaining of round 1. Would you like to share your resolution with the fans, Jiwoo? Honestly, being able to break the losing streak today, I want to make sure that we ride this momentum and win in the next upcoming match. And Cougar, yeah, within the process of losing, we told ourselves that honestly, if we, as long as we get that one win, that will be the start of our momentum. And I think this will be the starting point of our winning curve, and we'll make sure that we continue the positive outcome from now on. And that's the end of the interview from Jiwoo and Guger of Nongshim Red Force, and back to the space. Thank you.